You keep waiting to feel ready. You keep waiting for the motivation to show up first. It never does. And that single misunderstanding is quietly keeping you stuck exactly where you are. Here's what's actually happening. You've been taught that successful people are wired differently, that they wake up buzzing with energy, that discipline just comes naturally to them, that they somehow skip the boring part and go straight to the exciting result. None of that is true. The truth is smaller, plainer, and far more useful than that myth, because it means this is available to you too, starting today, not someday. Successful people do the boring thing first, every time, before the exciting thing, before the fun thing, before the thing that actually feels like progress. The gym session before the celebration photo, the rough draft before the polished post, the quiet, repetitive practice before the highlight reel. Why would anyone choose boring on purpose? Because boring is where the compounding starts. Psychologist Anders Ericsson spent decades studying elite performers, musicians, chess players, surgeons, athletes. He found something almost nobody wants to hear. It wasn't raw talent that separated the best from the rest. It was thousands of hours of deliberate, repetitive, often tedious practice. The unglamorous kind, the kind nobody films for social media. Ericsson called it deliberate practice, and the definition is simple: focused repetition on the exact skill that needs improving, done again and again, long after it stops feeling exciting. That's the boring thing, and it's the thing almost everyone skips. Think about your own life for a second. What's the task you keep pushing to tomorrow? The email you keep avoiding? The workout that isn't the fun kind? The studying that isn't the interesting chapter? The budget you haven't opened in weeks? That task, the one you're avoiding right now, is very likely the exact thing standing between you and the version of you that you keep imagining. Here's the twist almost nobody talks about. Your brain isn't lazy, your brain is efficient. It's built to conserve energy, and boring tasks feel like wasted energy because they don't give you an immediate reward. Neuroscientist Wolfram Schultz, in his research on dopamine, showed that your brain releases little bursts of dopamine in anticipation of a reward, not really during the boring effort that leads to it. So when a task feels dull and the payoff feels far away, your brain quietly nudges you toward literally anything else. Scrolling, snacking, reorganizing your desk for the third time this week. Anything that gives you a quicker hit than the boring thing does. That's not a character flaw, that's just biology doing its job a little too well. So what do successful people actually do differently? They don't wait for their brain to feel like doing the boring thing. They build a system where the boring thing happens whether they feel like it or not. They remove the decision entirely because every extra decision is one more chance for the brain to talk them out of it. Notice something. That is not motivation, that's structure. The people you admire, the ones who seem endlessly disciplined, they aren't fighting a daily battle of willpower like you think they are. They've simply made the boring thing automatic. Same time, same trigger, same tiny first step every single day, so small it barely takes any willpower to start. The writer doesn't wait to feel inspired. The writer sits down at the same desk at the same hour and opens the same document, inspired or not. The athlete doesn't wait to feel strong. The athlete puts on the same shoes at the same time and walks out the same door. That's the part nobody puts in the highlight reel. Here's a mindset shift worth holding on to. Stop asking yourself, do I feel like doing this today? Start asking yourself, what's the smallest version of this boring thing I can do in the next 2 minutes? 2 minutes of the boring thing beats 0 minutes of the exciting thing every single time, because 2 minutes almost always turns into 10. And 10 almost always turns into momentum. And momentum is the entire engine behind every success story you've ever admired. This idea has a name, too. Researchers sometimes call it the smallest viable action, the idea that the size of your first step matters far less than whether you actually take it. A step so small it feels almost silly is still a step your brain can't talk you out of. Think about the last time you finally cleaned a messy room. You probably didn't feel like starting. But you picked up one item, then another, and within 20 minutes you were somewhere you never expected to be that morning. The boring first action didn't feel like progress. It was the entire reason progress happened at all. This is why willpower alone was never going to be enough for you, and it was never going to be enough for anyone else either. Willpower is a limited resource that runs out by the end of a long day. Structure doesn't run out. A habit built around a tiny, boring, repeatable action doesn't need you to feel strong. It just needs you to show up in the same small way over and over until your brain stops treating it as a decision and starts treating it as identity. Here's another piece almost nobody mentions. The boring thing is boring precisely because it's working. Growth that you can feel in the moment is usually not growth at all. It's a spike of excitement that fades by tomorrow. Real growth is quiet. It happens beneath the surface, in the repetition you can't see, the way a muscle rebuilds itself overnight while you sleep, the way a language finally clicks after months of unremarkable flashcards. If a task always felt thrilling, it probably wasn't building anything durable in the first place. So the boring thing isn't a detour on the way to the exciting result. The boring thing is the mechanism. It is the actual machinery underneath everything you've ever admired from a distance. Think about the story you tell yourself about people who seem to have it figured out. You imagine a moment of transformation, a single turning point, a breakthrough. But almost nobody's story actually works that way. It's usually one plain boring Tuesday followed by another plain boring Tuesday, repeated for months, until one day the results become visible enough for other people to notice. By the time anyone else sees it, the boring part is already finished. You only ever see the ending. That's why waiting to feel ready keeps you stuck. Readiness was never going to arrive on its own. It gets built slowly by the boring reps you put in before you felt capable of them. You don't need more motivation. You don't need a personality transplant. You don't need to become a different person who somehow loves doing hard things. You just need one boring, repeatable action, done today, done small, done before you're ready. So here's your one step. Pick the task you've been avoiding, the boring one, not the whole task, just the first 2 minutes of it. Open the document, put on your shoes, write one sentence, read one page, do the smallest possible version of the boring thing right now before you close this video and let the moment pass. Because the truth is, you were never actually stuck. You were just waiting for a feeling that was never going to arrive first. Go do the boring thing. That's how the exciting life gets built.